I'm 45. 2 weeks ago, the oncologist said the words I never thought I'd hear. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He said it slowly, like he was handing me a fragile thing. He said I have maybe 4 weeks. Maybe. If this is hitting you, stop the video right now and call or text someone you love. Tell them you were thinking of them. I used to believe time was a renewable resource. Work was a treadmill you stepped on, convinced you'd step off in a few years and finally live. For 20 years I wore busyness like armor. I made partner at 38. I told myself the extra hours, the missed birthdays, the canceled plans, they were investments. Just a few more years, I said. Just another billing cycle. Sounds familiar? Wait for this. 70-hour weeks were the norm. My office was a second home. My laptop lived on my lap at the foot of my bed. My phone buzzed louder than the kettle in the morning. I learned to perform in courtrooms and boardrooms and to trade sleep for leverage. Promotions arrived like trophies I didn't feel entitled to, because I had priced them with the only currency I thought mattered, time I didn't spend on anything else. 2 weeks after the diagnosis, an email pinged on my phone. Congratulations, promoted to senior partner. The subject line blinked while I was still sitting on the exam table, where my hands were raw from gripping the vinyl armrests. For a ridiculous second, I thought it would make something better. It didn't. I felt nothing but a hot, ugly rush of anger. Who did this promotion belong to now? Who was I saving it for? The thing that stuck, more than the email, was something my daughter said later, when none of the legal memos mattered and we were sitting in the kitchen with cold coffee. She looked at me with this quiet exhaustion, and she said, "You were always there, but you weren't really with us." It wasn't accusatory so much as factual, like she was reading the minutes of a meeting. The tone of that sentence is still a physical ache in my chest. I keep replaying ordinary scenes that should be ordinary but now feel like missed miracles. Saturday mornings when I promised pancakes, and then answered one more email. The way my daughter learned to ride a bike in the neighbor's driveway, and the moment I wasn't there to hold the seat steady until she pedaled on her own. The Paris guidebook tucked into a drawer, flights booked, and then canceled 3 different times because not now. Anniversaries that passed with takeaway boxes and a text that read, "Sorry, emergency at the office." Small things. Small. They were everything. People come to visit. Marcus showed up with his worn jacket and a grin that hasn't been polished by titles. Marcus was my college roommate. While I chased corner offices, he became a teacher, then a coach, then someone parents asked to chaperone trips. He earns a fraction of what I did, but Marcus is at more birthday parties than I ever was. He brought a photo album the other day with pictures of him in an orange vest directing Little League games. The same man cheering at recitals. The same man hand in hand with his wife on cheap flights to national parks. Marcus didn't choose less. He chose different. He chose presence. Then there's Helen. I met her at the community center fundraiser. She's 87 now, but when I asked about her life, she told me about the year she turned 52 and sold the house she'd been clinging to since her husband died. She started painting, learned Spanish, and spent 15 years traveling until her knees couldn't handle the hiking anymore. Helen didn't trade security for recklessness. She traded someday for today. I thought I admired her story. Sitting in this room that smells faintly of antiseptic and lemon soap, I realize how hard it is to admire something without wanting it. None of this is to say money is bad, or that ambition is a sin. I loved the work at times. The rhythm of solving a knotty problem, the camaraderie of a team pulling an impossible hour, those were real pleasures. But there was always a ledger in my head, and the balance sheet said, "Postpone life now, cash it in later." The cost ended up hidden in the smallest entries, the pancakes, the scraped knee I never kissed better, the whispered question on the porch about whether I was still there. You don't get a warning bell for those costs. There is no payroll slip that shows missing Saturday breakfasts. There is no receipt for all the stories you didn't hear. We file them under someday. Someday we'll travel. Someday we'll sit down. Someday we'll be okay. I keep a list on my nightstand. It's stupidly modest. Paris, Dad teach Lily to ride a bike, Sunday pancakes. My wife, Sarah, 43, folded the list into a note and tucked it into her wallet. She didn't write beside any of it. I can picture her standing in the kitchen with a mug, the kettle singing, the way her hand shakes when she thinks I'm asleep. She has been my quiet friend through all this. She doesn't need lectures from me. She needs me, fully present, for as long as there is. The place I am now is literal and sensory and small. Linoleum light, a thin blanket, an IV pole that beeps at odd intervals. The room smells faintly of coffee, disinfectant, and a sweetness from the flowers someone left by the window. I look at photos across the dresser, a graduation cap crooked on my head, a wedding ring half hidden by a workload of stress, a daughter with a gap in her front teeth when she was 6, smiling at something I can't remember. My body, once a disciplined machine, feels like a borrowed car with too many miles. My mind rewinds, sharp and relentless. Here's what the diagnosis stripped away besides the future, the excuse. With death on the calendar, the reasons we hand ourselves look paler. They look like what they are, justifications. I can't leave now. We need to get the house paid off. There'll be time next year. The future is a foggy promise, and we pack our lives into it. I tell you this bluntly because there is a specific enemy I want you to see. The word, someday. It is a small, polite monster that sounds reasonable until you realize it eats your life in portions. We keep moving the goalposts. When one milestone is reached, we set another, bigger house, better title, perfect moment. Meanwhile, the small, vivid, crucial things are happening without us. The hard truth is that success can be the worst goal if success's price is presence. I remember an afternoon when I thought I was doing everything right. I was in the office on a Friday at 4 in the afternoon arguing over a clause. My daughter's school called. She had been chosen to sing at the assembly. I told the assistant to handle it. I told Sarah I had a meeting. That night I watched the news in my hotel room and told myself the performance would be on video. It was. I watched her mouth the lyrics in a square on my phone and felt proud and hollow at the same time. Later she would tell me the part she wanted me to see most wasn't the song. It was the way she looked at me when I walked through the door afterward. I missed that look. You miss looks a lot when you're not there. If you could find the time to be bitter about me, please don't. Bitter is easy. The point is not to make you feel terrible about the choices you've made in the past. The point is to tell you plainly what the last few weeks have taught me. The things you postpone accumulate like a debt you might never be able to pay. If I could change one thing, I would change everything. I would stop measuring my value in billable hours. I would go to every school event I could. I would not let a pending promotion stand between me and the smell of pancakes on a Saturday morning. I would learn to make a terrible omelet if that's what it took to be at the table. I would have bought that train ticket to Paris when we could still run up the steps together. I would hold my daughter's bicycle until her feet found the rhythm. I would choose presence over perceived progress so many times that presence became my habit. I want to be honest. I don't know how to make this message soft enough to reassure you and sharp enough to cut through what keeps you busy. Maybe you have constraints I don't see. Maybe there are things that require working long hours for months or even years. My point isn't to say abandon responsibility. It's to say examine the ledger. Look at the small entries. Ask yourself which debts you're accruing that you can't repay. Practical things are easy to say and harder to enact. So here are simple choices you can make this week. Not as commandments, but as experiments in reclaiming the ordinary. Choose one regular thing you will protect. A Saturday breakfast, a bedtime story, a weekly walk without devices. Tell your partner or your child you will not take calls during that time. Put it on your calendar as non-negotiable. Turn off the notifications for work after 7 p.m. for 2 nights. Book the trip you've been planning and buy the plane tickets, even if it's a weekend somewhere close. The small steps add up to a different pattern of life. When Marcus visited, he said something that landed harder than any legal brief I've written. You can be successful and still be empty, or you can be quiet about your success and be full. He didn't say it to shame me. He said it as an observation about our clipped priorities. Helen's advice was even simpler. Don't wait until you need permission from tragedy to pick what you love. I'm not offering platitudes. I'm offering urgent encouragement from someone who ran out of time. I am trying in these last weeks, to replace regret with action that matters to the people I love. I carry a tiny to-do list now that isn't about accolades. It's about being present enough to notice the small things. It's about showing up. This is where I ask you to act, not tomorrow, but now. Decide one thing you will stop postponing and do it this week. Tell someone you love that you're choosing them. It can be as small as a breakfast date or as significant as changing jobs to have more time. Name it aloud. Call a parent and ask about a memory. Listen fully. Text your child and say you want to come to their next event. Say it out loud. This week I'm choosing you. I am not looking for forgiveness. I am looking to be useful before I go. The quickest way I can be useful is to offer a caution wrapped in tenderness. Don't gamble your life on a future that may not arrive. The odds we beat on paper don't matter when the ledger is empty of ordinary moments. There will be people who hear this and think, he doesn't understand my responsibilities. Maybe. Some hear this and are already living different choices. That's good. For those who feel discomfort, sit with it. Let it be useful discomfort. The alternative is to smooth it over and keep doing what we've been doing. When the end comes, you don't get to take your titles with you. You take memories, the taste of pancakes, the feel of a small hand finding balance on a bicycle, the photograph of someone's laugh. Mine are incomplete. I wish they were fuller. I want your ledger to be different than mine. My daughter will fold the Paris guidebook back into the drawer or she won't. Sarah will make coffee in the morning with the same slow ritual. She will be brave and carry more than I ever intended her to. Marcus will probably still cheer at games. Helen will keep painting. Life absurdly keeps going. People will go on being busy. People will go on forgiving themselves. I hope they forgive themselves and decide differently. So here is the last thing I leave you with, blunt and unvarnished. I ran out of time. Learn from my mistake. Decide one thing to stop postponing and do it this week. Tell someone you love you're choosing them.